because of the ferocity of the resistance they encountered. At least 10 of those killed were women and children. Now, in terms of the Navy SEAL who tragically lost his life, it was Chief Petty Officer William Ryan Owens. He was killed in the raid, and 4 U.S. service members were wounded. Now, subsequent reports, though, pointed out that Trump did not participate in a formal National Security Council review of the plan, but instead was briefed over a dinner meeting 3 nights before the raid. He also was not in the Situation Room at the time that the raid took place. Now, to be absolutely clear and absolutely fair, there were many raids or military operations that took place during Obama's administration where Obama was not in the Situation Room. However, considering the fact that this was the first notable military operation under Trump's watch, many have stated that it was strange that he decided not to be in the Situation Room and oversee what was occurring.
And let me just give context there. So you guys might remember the famous picture of Obama and Hillary Clinton and some of the generals and Biden in the Situation Room as they were doing the operation against bin Laden. Now, when you do an operation like bin Laden, everybody's in the Situation Room and they know that they're going to take a picture. So let's just keep it real on the photo ops. But on large missions, yes, the president is engaged. And by the way, you might have to make a decision on the spot. So for example, in this case, this was an important mission. It was his first mission. And it turns out they did have to make several decisions on the spot because they ran into a lot more resistance than they realized. They had to call in for extra help. And then one of the choppers went down. And then they had to decide whether to destroy it or not so that it wouldn't fall into enemy hands. Do you withdraw when you get into enemy fire? There's a number of decisions that have to be made. But if the commander-in-chief isn't there, that means somebody else has to make those decisions. So that is a way that Trump is, in a lot of ways, abdicating his duty and handing it off to God knows who.
Yeah, exactly. And part of the problem is the lack of transparency within the White House, the fact that they won't release a statement in terms of where Trump was, why he decided not to be in the Situation Room, why he decided to not listen to intelligence briefings on the issue so he could make a smart decision about it. Now, one thing that we do know is that Trump's Twitter account had tweeted something during the time of the raid and then later deleted it. What did the tweet say? Well, it said, "I will be interviewed by the Brody File on the Christian Broadcasting News Network tonight at 11 p.m. Enjoy." And then it was later deleted, about 30 minutes later. And so let me be clear about that. We don't know who posted it. It could have been an aide. And we don't know why they deleted it. They might have deleted it after they realized that the raid went horribly wrong and it seemed very callous to tweet that at the time of the raid. Or it could be that that interview wasn't going to air until the next day, and so they decided to delete it and then maybe tell people later. I don't know. But it seems like it might have had something to do with seeming a little callous.
I actually think the tweet's the least relevant part of the story for a number of reasons. Number one, it was wrong. He was going to appear the next day on the air. So most likely they deleted it because it was not correct. And it did not confirm his Android. The reason that makes a difference is his staff usually tweets from the iPhone. This came from the iPhone. He tweets from the Android. That's why you will get insane tweets from the Android, because that's actually Trump doing it. So this seems like it was a regularly planned tweet that came from his staff and then was withdrawn. Now, it might have been because of the Yemen situation. To me, what matters a lot more is that he is disengaged. So, for example, one of the things they had to do was call in a strike because they had met such fierce resistance. Over 10 civilians died. I'm sorry, more than 10, around 30 died, but over 10 women and children died. That is a weighty, weighty decision. If I'm president of the United States, and first of all, my guys' lives are on the line, and U.S. troops are engaged, and they're in a heavy firefight, and then I got to make a decision on whether civilians live or die, I'm not handing that decision off to, again, I don't know who I hope it was a general, I guess. Was it Steve Bannon? Was it his son-in-law? Was it his nephew? I don't know.
Well, Steve Bannon and Jared Kushner, his son-in-law, were two of the individuals who were involved in the dinner where Trump was asked to either approve or not approve this raid.
Now,
and so,
let me just go into that real quick too, Anna. Sorry to interrupt. So now, this is something that is a very important part of your job, right? But can't be bothered. So he didn't want to do a meeting over it. They had to do it over dinner. So they invite all the, okay, I mean, it's not the end of the world, but take your job seriously for Christ's sake. So then they invite all these top Defense Secretary James Mattis, Joint Chiefs Chairman General Joseph Dunford, et cetera. Good, that's great, okay? But what, Steve Bannon and your son-in-law, why are they at the dinner where you're making life and death decisions?
Right.
Now, I know, because he put Steve Bannon on the National Security Council. That's so crazy. And look, I don't have a problem with Jared Kushner. He's one of the, I don't agree with him at all, but he's one of the more moderate guys in the administration. But why is he at a dinner where they're making decisions about where to send Navy SEALs? This is just madness all around.
Yeah, and so you talked about the civilians who died, including women and children. Of course, the Navy SEAL also lost his life. But, you know, there was an 8-year-old who lost her life as a result of this raid going wrong. And here's the thing that kind of drives me crazy about it, right? So this story is huge. If this had happened under President Hillary Clinton, the Republicans would not let it go, nor should they have let it go. Because if Hillary treated this the same way that Trump has treated this, it would be wrong, and she would face very justifiable criticism. In this case, though, Sean Spicer shut the media down, shut the Democrats down, and told them, if you criticize what happened, then you're disrespecting the Navy SEAL who lost his life. Really? That's what you think is happening? Let me give you the details on that. Amid reports that Yemen had withdrawn permission for U.S. troops to conduct raids there, and that the purported main target of the raid, AQAP leader Qasim al-Rimi, had escaped and was now taunting Trump, Spicer denounced criticism of the raid of any kind, right? And so, guess what? It worked. You know, in press conferences, he said, don't you dare criticize this raid. Where are the Democrats? Why aren't they criticizing the raid? Why aren't they latching onto this? Not because of political reasons. Sure, that's one added, benefit, I guess. But more importantly, because you are sacrificing innocent lives in a raid that you were not actually informed about.
So let's talk about the Hillary Clinton example real quick. Number one, if it happened there and she made the decision while Chelsea Clinton's husband was hanging around. People are like, what is Chelsea Clinton's husband doing there? That's outrageous. And she had some sort of Democratic Svengali, David Brock, hanging out making decisions. You would lose your mind if you were a Republican. And then a Navy SEAL loses his life, and she's not even there. She doesn't care enough to show up. You would have lost your mind over it. I know that because Benghazi had almost nothing to do with her, and you lost your mind over that anyway. Now look at the double standard. When a Navy SEAL loses his life under Trump, how dare you disrespect his memory? When 4 people lost their lives under Obama during Benghazi, they're like, do you see that? They lost their lives, and that's why we should never stop talking about it. On the one hand, stop talking about it immediately. On the other hand, never stop talking about it. So Obama could have done the same thing. You are disrespecting the life of the ambassador and the other brave men who fought to protect him there that day by continuing to bring up the failures of this mission. How dare you, dear sir, right? But no, not only do we have rank hypocrisy by the Republicans in this double standard, but what's maddening is the Democrats don't fight back, so they're in an uneven playing field. On the one side, they're like, yes, sir, yes, please keep beating us up over this nonsense that you had 8, 9 different commissions, Republican-led commissions saying we didn't do anything wrong, but continue to talk about it like it's a real issue. And on the other hand, when you do something grotesque on your first try, you don't even show up, you're MIA, we'll let it go because it would seem impolite. And then finally, the press. You think the press is tough on Trump? In a lot of ways they are, but not nearly enough. So why isn't there calls for a commission right now? Benghazi had 9 commissions. Why isn't there a commission on what happened to William Ryan Owens? Why did Trump let him down? Why did he let him die in that mission? Were they properly prepared? They had one time with the president, a dinner 3 days before the raid. Now, do you care about our troops or don't you care about our troops? Because if you're out there and you're a Republican and you claimed so much that you cared about Benghazi, you should be livid right now. But my guess is you go, but on the other hand, I don't know. Well, they had it coming. They signed up to be a Navy SEAL, so he died on a mission, and hey, that's life. At Benghazi, you weren't saying that's life. You weren't flipping about our troops' lives. But now all of a sudden, because it's your political advantage, Trump, yeah, of course he shouldn't show up. Yeah, of course, our president should be a knucklehead and just decide this over, what, rice pudding 3 days ahead of time, and then when our guys are in trouble, he's out golfing or wherever the hell he was.
Yeah, and look, one final point about what occurred after this raid went wrong. They tried to blame the Obama administration for it. Oh. Remember, this raid was okayed by Donald Trump 3 days before it took place. The Obama administration had nothing to do with it, right? And they had the audacity to blame Obama for it. So, look, my argument is we need to actually be tough on the Trump administration, especially when they claim that they were going to be super, super harsh and protective of national security here in the United States. This is not protective of national security. If you genuinely care about national security, you go to intelligence briefings and you take these types of things seriously, and obviously he did not.
Because he's a child and doesn't care to do the job. He's too worried about what Fox and Friends and Morning Joe is saying about him. Finally, let's just talk about did they accomplish the mission? In the beginning, they said, oh yeah, we killed 14 bad guys, so we accomplished it. Later, they switched it to, we got important files.
Yeah.
Okay, but wait, you were meant to go kill this leader, Qasim al-Rimi. Did you do it? No. Total and utter failure. It's such a big failure that he's out there taunting you on Twitter. Finally, we have the president's attention. He's like, oh, did somebody taunt me on Twitter? Okay. And you're blaming it on Obama? Obama did not authorize this exact raid because he thought they were not ready, which turned out to be the correct decision. But you and your infinite carelessness, when it was like, oh, what difference does it make? All right, pass the bread, somebody. Okay, is the Caesar salad out yet? Yeah, authorize it. Who cares? And I'm not going to follow